The prep cook. Before a single guest sits down, before the first ticket ever prints, one person has already been working for hours in an empty kitchen. This is the prep cook, the role nobody in the dining room will ever see, and the one the entire night quietly rests on. While the diner imagines a chef plating something beautiful under warm lights, he's standing at a steel table at 6 in the morning, facing a 50-pound case of onions. His whole job is a French phrase most people have never heard: mise en place. Everything in its place. That means every carrot brunoised into perfect uniform cubes, every herb chiffonaded, gallons of stock set to simmer, proteins portioned to the gram, sauces based out, cases of produce broken down and stored. A busy restaurant might turn 200 to 300 covers in a single night, and every one of those plates needs its components chopped, measured, and waiting before the doors even open. When a rush hits at 8 p.m., and a line cook needs diced shallots now, there's no time to chop them. They have to already exist, and he's the reason they do. It's repetitive, punishing, precise work. The same knife cut 10,000 times until the hands know it in the dark. There's no glory in it, no applause, and it's usually where a cook starts at the very bottom, earning the trust to move up the line one station at a time. But make no mistake, skip the prep, cut a corner, underportion a single component, and the entire service collapses 3 hours later when it's too late to fix. Every plate that leaves that kitchen looking effortless was built on hours of unseen labor by the person who got there first and asked for none of the credit. The line cook. 6 tickets are hanging on the rail. 2 more print as you read the first. Every one of them wants something different, cooked to a different temperature, finished at a different moment, and all of it has to land on the pass at the same time, hot, correct, and beautiful. This is the line cook mid-service, and this is what the industry means when it says someone is in the weeds. She is the raw power that drives dinner service. Each line, cook owns a station, saute, grill, fry, garde-manger, and during a rush, she's running 3 or 4 burners at once while 100 tickets a night fly past. There is no pausing. A dish that sits 30 seconds too long is dead. A temperature that's off gets sent back and 86th. She cooks standing in 1 square meter of floor for 10, 12, 14 hours, surrounded by open flame and 400-degree steel. And the small burns and knife nicks stop registering as injuries and just become part of the hands. On a single Saturday shift, she can walk miles without ever leaving that 1 square of rubber floor mat, pivoting between the reach in, the flat top, and the pass hundreds of times an hour. You don't get here by reading. You get here by burning yourself, getting screamed at during a Saturday rush, falling behind, and slowly, over years, learning to hold 5 orders in your head while your body runs on muscle memory alone. Speed and consistency under that kind of pressure can't be taught in a classroom, only earned on the line, one brutal service at a time. When you eat out and every plate at your table arrives together, perfectly timed, that isn't luck. That's an entire line of cooks firing in sync, holding the chaos together by sheer will and repetition. The Saucier. Of all the stations on the line, one sits just below the sous chef in the old kitchen hierarchy. The Brigade de Cuisine, the military-style ranking system chef Auguste Escoffier built over a century ago, and that professional kitchens still run on today. That station is the sauté position, and the cook who holds it is the saucier. Sauces are where cooking stops being assembly and becomes chemistry. She is the keeper of the 5 mother sauces: bechamel, velouté, espagnole, hollandaise, and tomato, the classical foundations from which hundreds of others are derived. Her day is a war against physics. A hollandaise that gets a degree too hot breaks into greasy curds in seconds. A pan reduction has to be timed so a demi-glace hits exactly the right gloss and thickness the moment the protein it's coating comes off the heat. A proper glace de viande can mean reducing gallons of stock down to a single glossy cup over many hours, concentrating the flavor until it coats the back of a spoon. An emulsion that separates can't be unseparated. It's poured out and started again while the tickets keep coming. This is not a station you're handed. It's one of the most respected on the line precisely because it takes the longest to earn. Years of building fonds, reducing stocks, and learning by taste alone when a sauce needs another pinch of salt. Or 3 more minutes? The margin for error is measured in seconds and single degrees. And here's the part diners never realize. The dish they remember, the one they describe to friends for weeks, is almost never the protein. It's the sauce. The saucier made the thing you can't stop thinking about, and you probably never knew the position existed. The grill cook. 40 steaks are on the grill. One's a rare filet, the next a medium well ribeye, then a medium New York strip, and none of them can be checked with a thermometer. because there's no time. The grill cook reads doneness by pressing a fingertip to the meat and feeling it, and by watching the beads of moisture rise to the surface. His entire craft lives inside a wall of radiant heat most people couldn't stand next to for a minute. The grill is the hottest, most physically brutal station on the line. Flare-ups leap without warning when fat hits open flame. He works inches from a surface running north of 500 degrees, arms crossing over live fire dozens of times an hour, managing multiple zones of heat at once. A searing hot side, a cooler side to finish, a resting spot, and holding the exact position of every cut on that grate in his memory as a dozen more tickets land. He also has to account for carryover cooking, the way a steak keeps rising several degrees after it leaves the heat, so he pulls each cut early knowing exactly where it will land by the time it hits the plate. Get one temperature wrong on a $60 steak and it goes back, costing money, time, and a diner's trust. The skill here is almost impossible to describe because it's sensory, not procedural. Judging a medium rare by feel, timing a rest so juices redistribute, knowing your grill's hotspots like a map, none of it comes from a recipe. It's built over years of ruined steaks and singed forearms until the reading of heat and meat becomes instinct. When a perfectly cooked steak lands in front of you with those clean, cross-hatched marks, that's not a machine and it's not luck. That's one person standing in the fire, keeping the temperature of every plate in his head at once. The pastry chef. While the rest of the kitchen runs on instinct, improvisation, and a pinch of this, one roll runs on a scale that measures to the gram. This is the pastry chef, the pâtissier, and she operates almost like a separate country inside the same building, often on entirely different hours, because her craft can't tolerate the chaos of the savory line. Baking is chemistry with no room to lie. A cake with the flour weighed wrong doesn't rise. Chocolate tempered a few degrees off its curve turns dull and grainy and snaps wrong. A croissant's flaky layers come from lamination, folding cold butter into dough over and over, a process called turns, each one done at precise temperature, some doughs resting overnight before they ever see an oven. Tempering dark chocolate alone means guiding it through an exact temperature curve, up and then back down to around 88 degrees Fahrenheit, or it will never set with that clean, glossy snap. She's often the first person in the building, mixing and proofing at dawn so that dessert, the very last thing the guest tastes, and the flavor they carry out the door, is flawless. It's a discipline that demands the patience of a scientist and the hands of a sculptor at the same time. Years go into learning to temper, laminate, pipe, and plate at a level where a single dessert can carry the reputation of an entire restaurant. There's a quiet injustice to it, too. She builds the final impression of the whole meal, the sweet note everything else was leading toward, and then watches it get eaten in 90 seconds by someone who has no idea a person arrived in the dark to build it. The last thing you remember about a great meal was the first thing someone started making that morning. The Sous Chef. When service is at its worst, every station drowning, tickets stacking faster than they clear, a cook suddenly out sick, one person steps into the gap and holds the whole line together. This is the Sous Chef, literally under chef, the second in command and the true operational backbone of the kitchen during a shift. He is the bridge between the executive chef's vision and the line cooks executing it. On many nights, he runs the pass, the expediter's post at the front of the kitchen, calling out incoming tickets, coordinating the timing of every station so that all the components of a table's order finish in the same instant, and inspecting each plate for perfection before it leaves. He's usually first into the building and last to leave. Before service even starts, he's running line checks and enforcing food safety standards, tasting every component and checking that each cook's station is stocked, labeled, and holding at the right temperature. He covers the station of whoever's weakest at night, steps onto the grill when the grill cook falls behind, mediates the pressure, and absorbs the exec chef's standards so the line doesn't have to feel the full weight of them directly. Reaching this role means having already survived every station below it. Prep, saute, grill, sauce, and proven you can not only cook under fire, but lead people who are cooking under fire. That's years of thankless work, of being the one who stays when everyone's gone, of learning 100 small crises and how to diffuse each before it spreads. The exec chef gets the name on the menu and the magazine profile. But on a Saturday night at 9 p.m., when everything is one mistake from falling apart, the person actually keeping it standing is almost always the sous chef, leading from the middle of the storm and rarely getting the credit for calming it. The executive chef. At the top of the entire brigade stands one person whose name goes on the menu and whose judgment every plate ultimately answers to. This is the executive chef, and the strange truth of the role is that during the actual dinner rush, she may barely cook at all. The job is vast and mostly invisible to the guest. She designs the menu, developing and testing every dish before it ever reaches a customer. She costs each plate to the cent so the restaurant survives, negotiates with suppliers, orders thousands of dollars of product a week, hires and fires and trains the entire staff, and enforces a standard so consistent that a diner gets the identical dish on a Tuesday in January and a Friday in July. She's also managing food cost as a percentage of every sale, usually aiming to keep it somewhere around 28 to 35%, because a menu that tastes brilliant but loses money on every plate will close the doors just as fast as bad cooking. When a plate goes wrong, when a supplier fails, when a cook quits mid-shift, when an inspection comes, the buck stops nowhere else. The weight of the whole operation, kitchen and business alike, sits on her shoulders, and almost none of them started here. The path to executive chef runs through every brutal station below it. Years as a prep cook, a line cook, a saucier, a sous chef, often beginning at the dish pit for near minimum wage. It's one of the longest apprenticeships of any modern profession, a decade or more of burns and 80-hour weeks in grinding up one rank at a time. By the time someone earns the title, she's done every job in the room and can step onto any station and outwork the person holding it. The name on the door was paid for in years nobody saw. The dishwasher. The last role on this list is the one the industry pays the least, works the hardest, and cannot survive a single night without. This is the dishwasher, the plongeur, and calling him the backbone of the kitchen isn't sentiment. It's operational fact. Picture the busiest moment of service, every station firing, and the flow of clean plates suddenly stops. Within minutes, there's nothing to plate on. No clean sauté pans to cook in, no bowls, no utensils, and the entire kitchen, every skilled cook on that line, grinds to a dead halt. He stands at a station of scalding water and industrial steam, hands in near-boiling temperatures for hours, scrubbing burnt-on fond off sheet pans, hauling towering racks, and moving fast enough to keep every other station supplied without ever falling behind. Commercial dish machines run a sanitizing rinse at around 180 degrees Fahrenheit, so the steam rising off that station is hot enough that most people couldn't hold their hands near it, let alone work in it all night. It's relentless, soaking, physically exhausting work, done at the back of the room where no guest ever looks. Here's what almost nobody outside the industry knows. The dish pit is where a huge number of the world's greatest chefs began. It's the ground floor of the whole profession, the place a young cook proves he'll show up, work hard, and survive the heat before anyone hands him a knife. Some of the most celebrated names in fine dining started with their hands in that sink. So he isn't just holding tonight's service together. He might be the executive chef of some future kitchen, 10 hard years from now, doing the one job that teaches you whether you belong here at all. Every kitchen stands on this station, and it's the one the dining room never thinks about once. 8 roles, 1 kitchen, and every plate that ever looked effortless in front of you was built by all of them at once. From the prep cook who arrived in the dark to the dishwasher who kept the whole thing from stopping. None of them do it for the recognition, because the recognition mostly never comes. If any part of this made you see your next meal differently, consider subscribing. There's a whole world of work like this, hiding behind the jobs we think we understand. And drop a comment below. If you've actually worked one of these stations, tell us which one, and if you haven't, which of these roles do you think you could survive?